Alright, today we're going to take off the outer skin of this 88 Fiero door because these window seals here, the dew wipes, see they're big chunks missing, so whenever it rains, the doors are just filling up with water. I'm getting some rain in the carpets and everything, so we're going to take the outer skin off, and you got to start with taking off the inner door panel. So, there's going to be, pop off this cover here, there's a screw in there, pop off this cover here, there's a screw in there, a couple screws on the armrest, and then pop off the window crank here. And just real quick, I forgot to mention you got this cover, the Fiero emblem. You've also got this cover back here behind the door handle. So you gotta pop those three off. I use a little pick for that. You can get, in the corner there and knock it out. So there are those out of the way, and next you're going to have to take off the door handle. Now I've already taken the clip out of it, so it slides right off. There's also, if you don't drop it, there's this washer that goes behind it. And all that's there for is to protect the door card from getting chewed up by the window crank turning and from the clip that holds it in. So this clip goes around the back here. You can see it sits in this groove and over on this side. And what that does is it pokes into here and holds that on using the groove right behind the splines there. So, to get this off, you're going to have to get this pin out. And there's a couple different ways. When it sits in there like that, some people will use a rag or a piece of scrap cloth and try to wrap it around the door handle and get it in between there to catch one of these ears and pull it off. Especially with this car, I've not had success with that. I did try that for a minute, but what I did was, this is my tool of the day today, I guess, my little right angle pick here, and able to reach in there and hook it from the back and pull it out. So that took a few minutes of fiddling, but it popped out, and then you got the door handle off, and now you can go around and take out your screws there, and there, right there, those two spots. You got to pop the lock guy out, and we're going to go knock all the little Christmas trees out that hold this in, and we'll have the whole door panel off. Okay, so I took a couple screws out here and back here, and it is kind of fiddly, but you gotta wrestle that out around the door handle and the lock rod there. Totally doable, not too hard, just takes a couple minutes. And armrest, I have run all the screws out here, so this should just come right off. And then now, we are ready to, a lot of mine are broken off already. Actually, all of them are broken off on this door, so normally you've got a bunch of little Christmas tree clips going all around the outside, and you want to pry those out carefully so that you don't ruin the door card, but I think the previous owner might have already done that to this one. There's still a couple left. There's just no barbs left on them. They're all left in the door and broken out of the door panel. Oh well, I'll fix that at some point, but maybe not right now. And now that we have that out of the way, we can see, I think this is the factory vapor barrier here. It's kind of funny by today's standards that they'd use paper, but I guess that in the 80s, that's what happened. And so what we're going to do now is, we got to take all the screws out for the inner window seal here. I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think that one might be in there too. I think there's 6 screws. I'll give you a final count. And then once we have that inner window seal out, we can hit these rubber caps at either end. There's one over there too. I think that one's only got 2 screws, and this one has 3. And then we'll go about taking the mirror out, and should be getting closer. Sorry about the rain noise now, but what can you do? Over here, this car's from California, but it's been in Michigan for a handful of years at least. I don't think it was ever driven during the winter and got salt on it, but a lot of these screws, like the top thread, is just a little too rusted where the screw's in there and you can break it loose, it starts turning, but it doesn't back out because that first thread is completely gone. So I've been prying up on the bottom of the window seal here just to push up on the screw from underneath the head here, and that pulls this first thread that's present up to the threaded portion in the door frame here. So then that can catch and pull the screw out. But, you know, if it's just spinning there in place, try prying up from underneath. That'll help a lot with getting screws and bolts out. I was worried I wouldn't have another example, but here you go right here. It turns freely, but it's not moving. So I'm going to jam a screwdriver under there. This one was a little more stubborn than the last one, so I had to use both hands there, but see, now I've got that first thread engaged, and now it comes right out. Nice and easy. So there you go, that's the retainer for the inner seal there. It was only 4 screws, and I've started to take, well actually this window inner seal here should just lift out now. There you go. That's the felt that wipes the inside of the window, but this is all good, so I'm going to be keeping and reusing that. And I might give this a quick coat of paint before I throw it back on. So over here, oh look at that. I had taken these 2 screws out, and I was going to show you that there was a little bit of glue holding this on, but I guess it's old enough that it doesn't hold anymore, it just falls right off. So, there's this one, and the one at the front, and I'll take all those screws out and get going on that. Alright, so you got your rubber molding out of the way, and then down here, those 2 studs right there, those are for the mirror. You got 2 10mm nuts on them. I already cheated off camera and took them out, so there's the mirror right there. It's that easy. If you have the manual ones like me, if you have the power ones, there's going to be a cord that you have to unplug and run through there, but that's not too difficult. You'll figure it out. And now that the mirror is off, we can actually go about getting the door skin off. And sorry guys, but I cheated again here. You're going to want to get this molding off that runs from the door handle there up to the front. And whoops, alright, you're going to have to, at this clip here, it's a little bit different from the others. And it sits in, there's a lip here and here on the inside of the molding. So you got to kind of take at the edge here, get a little screwdriver under there, pry it out while pushing up on it. And then you'll get one edge off, and then you can continue prying outward and then press down on it, and that should get the other lip off of there. And then you just got to go down here and do the same thing. Lift up, pull it outward, and then push down, basically. And these clips, every single one of them cracked for me, including this one here. I've heard they're available somewhere online. Usually I look at the Fiero store, but I haven't seen them, so I don't know, for now I'm going to go with this front clip is solid, and the rear clip is solid too, so for now I'm going to leave it. But in the future, it would be nice to get some new clips, and I assume you probably will too, because again, every single one of them cracked, and I was being very careful. So, it is what it is. We'll move on. Now, there's a bolt that goes in the center of this clip, and a bolt that's back by the lock there, and I've already loosened these up just a little bit. So now, yeah, okay, it's finger tight. Get that out of there. I'll set it out of the way so I don't lose it. And we'll get this other one out. And make sure we don't break this clip. Set that up there. And now, the next thing is going to be, there's a couple of plastic clips on the bottom that we're going to have to punch a couple pieces of plastic out, and then those will pull out. And then the top just has a lip that goes over the door frame. And I should say the 84 has 3 of the Christmas tree fasteners on top, but then 85 and later has the lip over the door frame. So you just get those clips on the bottom loose, and then you can rotate and lift it off. Also, before we take it off all the way, we're going to have to remove where the lock rod attaches to the lock cylinder here. And we're also going to have to remove the rod that goes to the door handle to actually open the latch. That should be pretty easy. Hopefully I'll be able to show you here in a second. Okay, so underneath, like I was saying, there's a couple clips here, and there's a centerpiece you have to punch in. And then it'll release the clip, and you can pry it out. if I can get that in focus there. So that centerpiece will release the clip. You can pry it out. I'm using a plastic pry tool there. It's just real nice for this. Doesn't scratch up any paint or anything or leave any bare metal exposed. So over here, there's a clip I haven't touched yet. You can probably see that little centerpiece there, so I gotta punch that out and then just pry gently to release it. And then that should be that. I should be able to get the door handle and the lock cylinder taken off, and then the whole door skin's off. I've already taken the 3 bolts out of this side for the door skin there. Now I've got 4 more left on this side. I've already broken them all loose, so they should be easy from here, and we'll get cracking. Alright, and from there, all we did was lift up on the door skin here, and you can get it all out. It's got these tabs all along here that fit in through this channel. So now I've got the door handle rod off there. That clip works pretty easily. And I'm figuring out the clip for this lock rod here. So I gotta disconnect that before the door skin's completely free. But this is the only thing holding this on the car. I'm also going to, while I have this all apart, look at this, because the lock cylinder turns, but when you try to lock it from inside the door here, it won't budge. This lock rod actually won't move, the mechanism back here. So I'm going to see if that's just gummed up and see if I can free that up. But for now, we got to get this clip off and then get the whole door skin off. That clip was kind of a pain in the rear, but here we are, fully out. There you go, there's your door skin. There's the door. Now we can go in here and pop out these rivets that hold in the window, and then the whole window can come out. We'll replace these rivets with just 1/4 bolts, because that's way easier if you ever have to get in here in the future, and it's just easier to install even. We'll give the window a nice clean, obviously, and then our dew wipe here should be easy to get out. There's a couple access holes in the door frame that once the window's out, you have easy access to all the screws, and it should just be a quick 30-second thing to replace that. A quick bonus here, I mentioned that issue with the lock being frozen stuck. I noticed here, I was able to move this a little bit. Looks like this joint is just frozen up from rust, so I'll spray some penetrating fluid in there, then I'll work it back and forth, and that should be enough to get it back to operating condition. Should be an easy fix. Alright, and just so you guys can see, I've now got it sprayed down. I moved it back and forth a bit, and it moves pretty darn freely. So that should be good to go now, which is nice. I think the only reason it got rusty in the first place was because of how much of this window seal is just broken and missing. I'm sure that has been getting rained on for the last 10 or 15 years, so, I think it's good now. And it should stay good, because it'll actually be dry now. Okay, what I'm doing for these rivets is I've got a Dremel with a cutoff wheel, and I'm knocking off all the little tabs of, I believe the outside of the rivet is aluminum, and then the center is steel. So I'm knocking off all the tabs, so they're out of the way, and then I'm just cutting off the very top of the steel here, because that's got a bulb on it, and that's how the rivet works. It pulls the bulb back through and spreads the aluminum, and that's what holds everything together. So I'm cutting off that bulb and getting rid of the tabs of aluminum, and then you can get a center punch. I've already knocked these 2 out, and I've got a ball peen hammer here, very light hits, and I'm holding one hand behind everything to brace everything, because I don't want to break this glass. I have no clue how much it costs, but I'm sure it would be hard to find. So I've got those 2 done, and we've got 2 more to go here. And then I've got some 1/4 bolts that I'll replace them with, and everything will work just fine. Just got to get these guys out. Well, I stopped for dinner here. These guys were pretty stubborn, these 2. but I just got them hammered out. Here's the last one right here. Ground off this side of it. This was the side with the tabs poking out and everything. This is on the other side. So there's a steel rod in the middle here. It gets pulled in, spreads out the aluminum, and that's how those work. But here's what's left of it. This goes right in the trash, and I've got a few bolts that'll go right in these holes, and it'll hold the bump stop, and it'll hold this on the window frame right here. But right now, let me double check here. This should be, yep, that's loose. Alright, so I'm going to set the camera down so I don't break anything, and I'll lift the glass out, and then we should be 2 more screws to get the dew wipe out, and then we should be reassembling everything. Had to wrestle with it just a little bit, but here's the glass out of the door. It's in pretty good shape. This one's not all scratched up. The driver's side did get a little bit scratched from the bad dew wipe. It's also got those felt guides attached to the dew wipe on the outside. But the passenger window looks great. I'm going to clean this up down here so that that doesn't go back in the door. And then, yeah, we'll get cracking on these couple extra screws here. And that should be halfway there. Okay, got the old seal out, and I'll just show you on the hood here. There it is. You can see there's all sorts of chunks missing. This should all be straight right across, so there's a big piece missing here, a little bit there, a couple holes in it. And if you turn it over, the felt, I said the window wasn't all scratched up. Clearly it was not far away from getting all scratched up, because there's metal showing through the felt spots there, which means there was about to be metal on glass here, and that would have caused some scratches that are hard to buff out and everything. It wouldn't have ruined the glass, but it would cause a lot more work. And here's the new window seal. It's got felt guides attached to it, just like this one. All the same mounting holes. Everything should line up great, and as you can tell, there's no giant chunks missing. This was brand new. I bought this at the Fiero store. That's fierostore.com. They're great, fantastic customer service, and definitely the biggest source of parts you can find for Fieros. Not many people are making parts. They've got a lot of them tracked down. And looking at the felt here, it's all great, brand new, obviously, and ready to go on. And we'll clean up this window and start reassembling everything. And if it isn't obvious, reassembly is going to be just about the reverse of the disassembly. I will show you what I do for the bolts, replacing these rivets here. But other than that, it's just slapping everything back together in the reverse order of how you took it off. So, without further ado, here we go. Okay, 1/4-20 bolts and nylock nuts are installed. I just made sure that everything cleared. I ran the window up and down. I did have to reverse the direction of that bolt, but it clears now. All the rest are fine. Window is in, and if we take a look up here, here is that brand new seal all installed. All we gotta do now is reassemble the rest of the door and we're done. Okay, and just like that, the door is back together completely. See on the inside here, everything's all together. Window goes up and down, and everything works. And as an added bonus, I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my lock wasn't working, and now it works. There you go. So if you like this video, please give it a like. If you know someone with a Fiero that could use it, go ahead and send it to them. And thanks guys, I'll see you next time.